So you just got an audition and you have no idea how to prepare? Don't worry, we've got you.
Acting Class Weekly with legendary character actor Sean Whalen. Lessons, tips, and insight into the craft and business of acting from a man who's been directed by the likes of Spielberg, Eastwood, Tim Burton, Ang Lee, Michael Bay, Wes Craven, Tom Hanks, and many more of Hollywood's A-list. He is 30 years an actor and your professor, Sean Whalen.
Roxy, today is about preparation, and I have to prepare you for something. I'm a little hopped up on coffee.
Oh, well,
Does
you
that
know
explain
what?
a little bit?
I think I can handle that.
You can?
Yeah, I might have to do some more prepping. But then I eventually will be able to handle the fact that you are all hopped up on coffee.
Ask me why.
Why are you hopped up on coffee, Sean?
Well, I went because my youngest, Amy Whalen, just finished her freshman year of high school today, and we went to Sweet Butter in Sherman Oaks and got fabulous pastries and a couple of coffees.
Wow.
Iced coffees together.
From my people to yours, mazel tov.
Thank you very much. Very proud of her. She's the one, as you guys recall, who was so rough on me in my audition.
Yeah, she made you do it again. I don't believe you. I don't believe you, Sean.
And we were talking about her future. And the thing is, she's got such a great problem. She has so many things that she's good at. She just has to find the one that, like, hits her and takes her. But she's an amazing young woman. And my daughter, Sarah, just graduated from high school on Friday.
And neither of them ever had the acting bug?
You know, they didn't, but I'm telling you, Amy liked the auditioning thing. She came into an improv class, and I threw her up there, and the class was saying, how many classes has she taken? How long? I said, never. This is her first time. She's just naturally funny. She's got her own unique voice. But there's just and people keep seeing her and going, oh, she should be a model. She's so pretty, blah, blah, blah. But there's just not I don't know. I think she's very, she loves math, and I think it's that, if that makes sense. She just likes you put in this and you get this. And that's not an artist's life. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it's more the lifestyle. As we've talked about on this show, guys, you have to not only have the talent, but you have to love the life.
Totally, and certainly in this industry, 1 + 1 does not always equal 2.
Not at all.
1 + 1 sometimes equals...
17.
Yeah.
I'm going to throw out a good, kind of a weird number, kind
48.
of a funnier number. 7 is a funnier number,
-4.
right? See, I think...
Should we keep going?
No, because 4s aren't as funny as a teen.
Why I paused was, I don't know whether to throw out a number or a thing. Like 1 + 1 equals rivers.
Right. You go, right.
1 + 1
equals clown hair.
Clown hair, yeah. You know?
Yeah,
Which number equals calling your mom crying in your car?
Yeah.
Because sometimes that's one that shows
I
up.
believe that's 16 plus 78.
16 plus 78.
That one.
Yeah.
Times 16 auditions as well. Mm-hmm. So as always, I'm talking to the fabulous Miss Phenomenal, Roxy Striar.
That is me. I am she. Hello, Sean.
Hello. And then in the booth, Mr. Funtabulous, Jeff Graham.
That is me. I am he. Hello, Sean.
Oh, wow. And I'm
Clever.
and I feel like I'm Dr. Seuss. But I didn't say the thing that should make me look like I'm here to play.
Keep going.
I'm trying to say
next one, though.
play. I have my cup to make sure that this show stays up. It's not really Dr. Seuss-ish. It's rhyming. It's basic rhyming. Let's move on.
You didn't say anything about hats or cats.
No, but I was trying to, make it relevant to the studio, what's happening right now. But I failed miserably. But see, it's moment to moment. We don't worry about that. We move on.
We let it go.
We let it go.
Let it go,
let it
baby.
just fly by. And as always, before we jump into our topic, which is a great topic, we're talking about preparing for auditions. And I will just tease you that we are getting to my stories from the set, which is me turning into iconic Disney ghost. I'm just going to leave you with that.
I'm really excited for this story because I feel like I don't know much about your work in this demo of space that you're talking about. Because whenever people approach you, you probably can tell maybe what thing they're going to come up to you about, Sean. Like if they have a look and you're like, oh, you're a horror fan. Definitely People Under the Stairs or whatever it is. But this is a very specific demo.
Yeah, we mentioned, I think I've mentioned this before on the show, that about like it's in the 20-somethings that are now talking talking to me about Disney Channel, Hannah Montana, Wizards of Waverly Place, Zach and Cody. But now they're like young adults, and that's crazy for me.
I can't wait to break that down.
Very, very strange. Let's talk about my week, as we always did. Like I just said, daughter's graduation.
Wait, hold on, though. Are we not going to play our beautiful songs? Are you going to go up or down, or how are we going to?
Oh, do we want to do it?
You're
right. Do we want to do it?
Were you going to skip it?
I think I was going to say, yeah.
So
I kind of
now.
blew through it. I blew through it.
You didn't care.
But I didn't care
And I've been
enough.
practicing.
Have you?
So...
Have you been practicing low or high?
No, I've been going up.
You've been going. All right, so I'll do low.
Okay.
All right, 1, 2, 3. Sean's week. That was pretty good. Not harmony, but just two
Jeff.
different octaves.
I thought it was good. I thought it was a standard
didn't-
Sean's week.
He didn't feel impressed.
I didn't. No, I wasn't
Listen,
not impressed.
I'm an acting teacher. I can tell your tone. Stop it. Just stop it right now.
Fair
He
enough.
knows.
I know. I can read the subtext
Not a
always.
great liar, Jeff.
Yeah, not really
Think
good
that's a
work on that.
compliment?
Hopefully, as a producer, that's a compliment. Because,
that
you know.
is.
Jeff Graham, not great at lying.
So, daughter's graduation, like I mentioned, very proud of her. Really good people. The theme of today is preparation, like I said, and talking about preparing for their life. It was very moving. It's a performing arts high school, even though ironically neither of my daughters are in performing arts.
How does that happen?
Because there was very intense academic school, and this just had such a comfortable vibe. They can really be who they want to be. It's great. This school, literally Champs Charter High School in Van Nuys, literally had a kid who dressed in a banana suit every day the whole year, and no one cares. It's fantastic.
Do they wash it?
Huh? I don't know him well enough to know that.
That's the only thing I
would,
care about.
I would hope washing it or have several.
Yeah, have several or wash
several
it.
or
It's the only
washing.
thing where you
But
do
he
you
didn't-
boo, but don't
he,
smell.
But he wore it over, like he'd have normal clothes, and then that was on top of it. So it wouldn't. It's like a jacket. Do you
Instead
wash
of a
your
coat.
jacket that often?
Sometimes instead of a class clown, we call him the class banana.
Class banana, I guess so.
Don't slip.
He's quite appealing.
Thank you. Oh, I made a joke.
Thank you,
But mine
Sue.
wasn't as good, and then you made
What was yours?
I said don't slip,
Oh, okay. Okay.
and then you said appealing, which was better than don't
He's
slip.
and Mr. Funtabulous is all over
How do
that.
you feel
He's
then?
very prepared for the jokey stuff.
No, not prepared per banana.
Oh God. Well, he sliced that one up. Yeah, that makes no sense. Okay, let's split this and get to it.
That was maybe my favorite thing we've ever done.
That doesn't talk a lot about the information.
I think
I'm
it
giving.
says more about me than
It says
this
way
show.
more about
Yeah.
you. So listen, I'm going to give a shout out today to someone who is been a recent student of mine for a couple months, Jordan Garcia. He's an avid listener to our show.
Go Jordan, get it Jordan.
And he's from Vegas, and we do Skype coaching every week.
So he
And
currently is in Vegas.
He's currently in Vegas, and we do Skype coaching every week. And he just sent me a short he did. And the idea of it was that the director it was more of a camera piece. They had to do a style, and this guy wanted to do it all in one shot. It was brother and sister, and then Jordan, or husband and wife, and then Jordan comes in as this obnoxious brother. The difference between him.
His obnoxious brother.
Yeah, that was exactly what it was. Let's
Yeah.
go with that.
Totally. I could
The
hear it
difference
now.
between him and the other actors was great. And he said, I just kept thinking about what we work on. And
What-
he
you mean he was better
prepared.
than they were?
He was better than
You
they
didn't want
were.
to say it like that.
Oh, no. I have no problem saying that. Then I told him to his face. I said, I believed you were that guy way more than the sister and brother. Not to diss them, and I don't know their training, but I just know. And he said, I just kept thinking about what you were saying and being the guy. And this take, supposedly, because it was a oneer, things would happen all the time. It's a 5-minute oneer. One shot. Ladies and gentlemen, that means a one shot. You
One
never
opportunity.
cut. One opportunity to do it. So if you are 4 minutes and 30 seconds in and you mess up, you start again.
Mm-hmm.
So he just was way more believable, way more grounded. And I was very proud of him and of the work we're doing. He always tries hard. He takes criticism well. And I just appreciated that even though it was about the camera work, he made sure that his part, the acting, was solid. Even at he said they started 8 in the morning and went to 11 at night. And I think this take was very late, maybe 9, 10, 30 or something like that. He was still very solid. So I was very proud of his preparation.
And you know what I get out of that, Sean, is that anybody can see that. at some point, and
Right.
you always want to do your very best, even if you think, okay, this isn't going to be my acting debut that's going to book me, whatever
Right.
it is. You need to show up and do your job every single time because you just don't know. And now, Sean, you saw that. You see he's doing the work. He's
Yep.
implementing it. And now Jordan's endeared himself to you.
Yeah.
He doesn't know what that means, who you talk to about
Right,
him,
right.
or based off you saying his name on this podcast, who
Yeah.
goes to watch or whatever it is. You just never know whose eyes and ears are going to be on something. So
Yeah.
to give 110% every time and always have that preparation.
Yeah. I was very happy to see how he's been using what we've done so far, and he is beginning his journey in acting too. But he definitely brought it.
Shout out Jordan.
Yeah, way to go, Jordan. And then we're going to get into how to prepare for an audition. Obviously, Jordan prepared for getting the gig and shooting it, so we're going to get into that. But before we do that, Roxy would like to talk a little bit about AfterBuzz. Ooh, right on top of it.
Yeah, he's great.
Beautiful.
So you said Jordan listens to the show every single week.
Yes, he
and
does.
there is more of you out there. But to Jordan and everybody else who's listening right now, if you are loving this show, if you're loving the lessons that Sean is teaching you every week, here's something you could do for us that we would super, super appreciate. If you rate, comment, subscribe on iTunes and YouTube. So why does that matter? If you rate, comment, and subscribe, then we actually get pushed up in the algorithms. So like we talked about before, math, not really our thing, considering I thought 1 + 1 equaled clown
No.
ears. But what I do know is that the way that YouTube and iTunes are designed is that the more people that are actually communicating, that are giving that 5-star or that thumbs up or writing something, the more likely other people are to actually find our show. So
Right.
that would mean the world to us. It takes you guys about 15 seconds and it's free for you. So if you could just stop what you're doing right now, even put us on pause. So one thing we're okay being put on pause for, like we will deal with it if you want to pause us.
Yes.
And just go do it right now. Also, the comments help us know what to talk about on this show.
Yep.
We need to know what you guys need to know: headshots, reels, resumes, agents, preparation for auditions. So comments really matter to us as well. We really appreciate it, and it helps keep the show alive here. So thanks, guys.
Thank you. All right, so we're
a
going to
beautiful
jump. We're
slow
going to.
fade.
It was a beautiful fade.
job, Jeff.
And I just feel like I have to jump into it because the fade was so pretty that it just feels like the next step is coming.
A fade into
How to prepare for an audition.
aha.
So you're going to get this audition probably through email, okay? 90% email. You're going to get from your agent. Or if you don't have an agent yet, you're going to be going on Actors Access, Backstage, looking for auditions. LA Casting. So you find one, you submit, they respond. You get the audition. So the first thing you want to do is read the email you get pretty thoroughly. You want to find out very specifically when and where it is. That's important. I know that seems really silly and obvious, but because it's not about when and where it is, it's really about figuring out the time that you think you will need to prepare for it. Few
And
hours.
to get there.
And to get there.
On
and
time,
to, and
in
to
the
be
traffic.
on time. So know that your schedule is clear, that you have the window. Sometimes you might have to email them and say, hey, I have a shift I can't change because it's too late. Can I push? You might have to. But just make sure that you have the window necessary. For me, personally, it's like 3 to 4 hours. And I'm not working on it for 3 to 4 hours. I'm knowing that I'm relaxed. I'll look at it. Then I'll slowly maybe lay out the clothes I'm going to wear. Then I'll literally maybe relax and play, a little word scramble on my thing. And then I'll go back to it with fresh eyes and maybe I'll find something new and I'll look at it again. Just whatever your process is, make sure you have that time.
I have a pretty similar process, Sean. I don't like to not give myself a little breathing room to go and grab a snack, come back,
Right.
revisit it, because sometimes when you're too deep in, your words just start to sound weird.
Yeah.
If you are over and over for 4 hours, just repeating,
Right.
it just starts to sound like a robot sometimes.
Yeah.
So I agree. It's best to, for me at least, to step back, give myself that window, come back to it, and then you have a new enjoyment of it.
Yeah, and I will say that I'm going to flip your script, literally, and try to have you not do that until the end anyway. I want you to work on the other things first. My whole career, I worried about the lines first. always. And I finally realized that's the last thing I need to worry about. I need to worry about all these other things, which I'm going to lay out first. But before you do, when you find out when and where it is, make plans for after. I don't care what it is. I don't care if you say, I got to go to the store, I have to meet a friend for lunch, I have to run a specific errand. Have plans after, so you cannot sit in your car and obsess and hold on to it. I want you to make plans after whatever it is, so you have a thing to do, so it becomes part of your day.
My one question for you is, though, Sean, you never know how long these auditions are going to take, so how do you schedule that, like lunch with a friend?
Well, if you say lunch for a friend, if it's a friend who knows anything about this business, say, hey, I will text you after when I'm done. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Something obviously with some flexibility. Or you can give yourself, the audition's at 1, you could schedule it at like 2:30 or something, just to know that you'll have a window.
Pad it a little
bit.
But
just, pad it a little bit. Then what I want you to do is, I think it's very important that you study the breakdown. You study the producer.
So, Sean, for anybody who doesn't know what a breakdown is.
Oh, okay, a breakdown is what you get, the information on the project. Who's directing it, who's casting it, who's producing it, what type of thing it is. It's a short film, it's a student film. It'll say the genre, horror, comedy, whatever. So you get an idea. Read all these things. Then look at the names of the producers and directors. See if they have any other work. Even if it's a student film, they might have other student films. A lot of these young directors and producers have their own websites. Try to see what their tone is. Try to see the things they've done before. Try to read up on them as much as you can. Obviously, if it's an established show, that's a lot easier. If it's from the people who did Lost, you might know it's a little sci-fi. The couple of guys went on to do Once Upon a Time that I worked with. And, little fantastical or magical or whatever, kind of like Lost. So I'd have an idea just by reading those things and finding out as much as you can. That's the other thing I want you to do. Like I said, if they have previous work, study it, shorts, anything. Then it also will say your character name and a description of your character. Usually a few adjectives. Bad breakdowns, unfortunately, will just say what happens to that character only. And you can't really glean anything from that. But you should be able, when you read the script, to understand who they are.
Can you give an example, Sean, of what something might say?
Like a really good one, like say, okay, so I went out for a person who was afraid of vampires in a small town. He was a townsperson that was afraid, and he stood up, and they said, Southern, scared, traditional, really worried about the way the vampires are affecting his community. So I knew when I got the lines that I was not going to stand up and be relaxed and happy or whatever. I'm going to stand up with a lot of concern and a lot of worry based on what they said and the lines.
And how much do you make that character breakdown law? So if it says something that, and you feel like your interpretation of the character is slightly different, or
always do you. And then I'm gonna go back to later how I actually will tell you that after you're done all your work, I want you to read that breakdown one more time to see if you're in a wheelhouse. But if you aren't, and you feel really strongly that you want to do something else, that's something you should prepare for, but then also be prepared for them to go, hey, we'd like you to adjust it to this, and then you will make those adjustments accordingly.
Right.
See if you can get a full script and read it.
How do you politely ask for that?
You would just, in an email, you would say, is there any access to a full script? I would love to know more about the story. That is not an unreasonable request. Obviously, if you have an agent, that's not. I always say the same thing. To do through your agent, or even if you get the audition and they have a casting director, you can email them back politely, and they will tell you. If they do, read it and try to find out, why do you read it? To see where you fit in the story. This is one thing actors have got to know. We are here to service the story. We are here to service the director's vision, and they want rich collaborators to come in and help them with that. So you need to know, when I was the angry village person, it was because things are going to get worse for, let's say the vampires are our heroes in the story. Things are going to get worse for the vampires due to the fearful townspeople. So I know my role is to then, I have to put the pressure because the downside of the script goes low, and then all of a sudden it'll pick up when the vampires, change their minds or whatever it is. But you have to know where you fit in the story. And you also have to know are you a protagonist? Are you just pushing the story forward? Are you a good guy? Are you a bad guy? And you will know where you fit in the story, in the conflict. So it's really important to kind of know where you fit. Too many actors just worry about what they're doing. You have to open it up. It's about servicing the story.
What if you cannot get a script?
If you cannot get a script, hopefully in the breakdown they'll have a thing that says storyline. And it will say, a group of vampires come to, they're very sweet and want to blend into a small town, but they get pushed back, and it gets to a conflict until they finally reach an understanding, let's say. So usually they'll at least have a storyline.
And then you try to figure out where you fit into that.
And exactly. So then, if you have an accent, a lot of people ask me this, you can't take those 3 hours.
Do you mean if you have an accent in real life, or do you mean if you have an accent in the script?
Thank you. That was unclear. If you are asked to prep an accent. So unless you know it, like you're from Atlanta and you get a Southern accent, great, good for you. But let's say for me...
a little judgy there. Great, no. Good for you.
Good for you. I'm a little jealous because I don't have that Southern accent at the tip of my head. I used to because I was from Maryland. It was much easier when I was around that. But now it's harder for me. Yeah, you sense my jealousy. Mm-hmm. Or you're, I'll have an Irish accent sometimes. And it's just doesn't come that easily to me. So always, always, always give yourself more time if you have that. You want to go on YouTube, or what I do, I go on social media and I ask somebody, I had a Bulgarian accent, and I just went on Facebook and said, does anyone know anyone Bulgarian I could talk to for an audition? Through Facebook messaging, someone reached out to me, and he ended up teaching me key phrases and how to say things.
Are you mimicking him? Like, are you listening to him and then trying to repeat that, or how does that work?
I would read him my line, and he would tell me how to say it.
Oh.
Like the inflections and how to say the words. So,
interesting.
Break it down for me. So that's really helpful. So just make sure, like I say, if you have an accent, you have to do it. Let's say the morning of, and I have a noon to, or 3, 4 in the afternoon. I'll just tell my girlfriend, my daughters, hey guys, I'm going to be talking in this accent all day because I have to practice. Night before, then you might just have to do it the night before. Give yourself time to get to the place where you're comfortable with it, where you feel okay. The best thing to do, guys, walk down the boulevard, go to a store, and talk to people like that. And see if they give you some kind of look like, I don't know what he's doing, or they just accept you as a person. This guy must be British.
What if you are not capable of doing that accent?
In terms of, a lot of times they'll say in a breakdown, like, if you can't do it, don't do it. Do you know what I mean? What do you mean capable? Like, you can't do the...
So you go to the boulevard or whatever, and people are like, what? And you've been trying, and it's day of, and you've got to have it, and it's just not coming out naturally. It's not working. What do you do? Do you not go to the audition? Do you do it in your regular voice?
That's a really good question. What I would do is either reach out to them, let me take that back. I would walk in and just say, I've been struggling with the accent, but I'd like to give it a shot. And then they might say to you, why don't you drop it and just do something else? Or, what I would always say is, having trouble with the accent, but I know I can pick it up if I have a little more time. Just to say that you could, always say you can do something if you don't know how to do it, and then you'll figure out how to do it. You know what I mean? But that's a good question.
Sometimes it takes people a week, 2 weeks.
Yeah. Listen, this is one thing to do. I've talked about watching movies and reading plays. It's practice some accents. Ones that you'll go for. Mm-hmm. I am probably, for me, there's a lot of, Irish, English, Southern, like that's probably in my wheelhouse. So know your wheelhouse and try to practice some. You might have more like an Italian accent.
Yeah.
Or, you know what I mean?
Or New York,
or
Boston.
New York, a Boston, you know. So just know your wheelhouse and take the time to play with it and practice it. It would be great to have in your arsenal. Also, then we start going into understanding your character's point of view. Now, what does that mean? Who they are. If everyone listened to our Daria, dang it, I always say Daria. Our Daria.
You said Daria this time.
Did I say
You
it
said
enough?
Daria,
Was it crisp
you
enough?
said Daria. Dang it, Daria.
Really?
Daria,
I didn't.
Daria.
It didn't
Rewind
sound
the
as
tape,
good
Jeff.
to me. Yeah, here we go. Here we go. Because we have to win arguments. That's just the way we are.
Sonya Deville, WWE's.
Yes, Sonya Deville. And she was talking about how I helped her with her character was getting a backstory to know who you are. If you need that, you might get a character that is a young woman from Boston who moved to LA and became a host. So you might not have to not work on that understanding. You understand her. Or even just a young woman that was raised in an Italian family from Boston. You know what I mean? Like, if you have the understanding, then look at it and go, here's the great thing about getting older. You understand a lot more. I don't have to do as many backstories because I've encountered so many people in my life and so many points of view that a lot of times I'll look and go, yeah, I know who that guy is. You know what I mean? Which is great. But if you haven't lived enough life or you don't understand it, be honest with yourself. I don't know who this person is. I don't know, what.
Enough about them.
Enough about them. So create a backstory. Couple pages, handwritten, where they were born, siblings, parents.
Why write it down?
Because I was inspired because Matthew McConaughey, I was so blown away when he took his leap from a romantic comedy icon and did True Detective. I know Dallas Buyers Club was phenomenal, but True Detective to me was so phenomenal, so much better, and I wish he would have gotten the Emmy for that more than the Oscar for the other. He wrote 400 pages handwritten about this character. So many quirky things that were in the show were from that notebook that the director folded into the part. And I just realized the power of backstory.
And when it's written, it kind of sinks in
Yeah,
more.
it sinks in more. There's scientific evidence about
math.
Writing. Mm-hmm. Math. What do you mean?
Scientific, math,
Scientific
science.
math. 2 + 2.
Mm-hmm.
Please. This is banana.
Equals math, be McConaughey.
2 + 2 equals washed banana soup.
Oh,
That's
I'm
a callback.
getting it.
That's
It's
a callback.
That's a
It's a
callback,
callback,
kids.
That's a callback because the comedy is so fresh on Acting Class Weekly.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's what Rotten Tomatoes says anyway.
that's what they say. Anyway, and the comments and subscriptions. See, that's another callback
to iTunes and YouTube.
See, yes. Okay. So if you don't, let's say you just don't understand, you're saying it's an Irish woman that was born in the 1800s. You don't know. But there's a type of way they act. So maybe you know somebody or have actually seen a character on a TV show, a BBC show. Then you can do substitution to understand how that person is. Maybe it's a maid from Upstairs, Downstairs, or Notting Hill, or, something historical, like James Madison or Hamilton, or, anything that folds you in. You can do substitution. That will help you understand a point of view. So you want to get into the point of view of the character through the breakdown and through reading it a few times. Then that takes me to our next part, which is read the scene several times. Once for yourself, once to understand it a little more, through the next few times to really start to pick it apart and see where it goes. I am going to do a whole episode, guys, coming up on breaking down a scene. So
Can I join?
Oh, you will be sitting right here next to me, Miss Phenomenal. Don't worry about that.
That sounds great.
Yeah, so I will teach you how to do that. But for the most part, you want to just firstly understand what your character wants. What do they want out of the scene? What are they trying to get out of the scene? Are they trying to get love? Are they trying to get comfort? Are they trying to get justice? Are they trying to get validated? Try to understand what they're doing. Then do the scene. This is a really good exercise, and I've done this with a lot of my students. Do the scene that your character wishes you would have gotten. Okay, so we're going to do a little exercise. All right, the scene is going to be this. You are coming home to break up with me because all I've been doing is working late and not really, we text during the day, but then all of a sudden I work late. And then all of a sudden, weirdly, I don't text you, you're concerned, and you've had enough. And the scene that is written is you say that to me and say, you know what, give me my freedom. You're pressuring me and stuff like that. And you say, forget it. I'm breaking up with you. That's the scene that's written. So for you, practice the scene that you wish you would have got. So come home and say to me, this is over. I can't handle the working late. Something to that effect.
This is over. I can't handle it anymore, Sean. You have been out late every single night, and I don't know where you are. I don't trust that you're not with other people, and I just can't deal with it.
Well, the reason I'm working late is I'm driving Uber, and I can't really text you while I'm driving. But you always, always said that you wanted to go to Hawaii, and I've been working extra hours to save up for a trip to Hawaii because I wanted to ask to marry you on the beach.
Aww,
so that's the...
Sean.
I know.
You're
it's
just so sweet.
But do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, so what
that's
she
what
wishes...
that's what you would love to hear. Mm-hmm. And deep down, we all want that thing.
So what they're after, what they actually
would love, and then
interesting.
Feel what that feels like, how good that feels, and
so when you go
back, it's a lot worse.
Right.
So that's a really good tip.
I love that, Sean.
I do that all the time with my students. Like there was my student Ella, who I talked about, my young student that was in the play. We did one scene where when she was trying out for It, the movie It, one of the scenes was, she's walking to talk to a friend, and this guy stops her on the way. So I had her practice walking to her front, walking past, and then I had her do it several times, and then we did the scene, and I stopped her, and I stood in front of her, and I was like, because that's what the scene really is. So it really deepened her, like, whoa, this isn't, the surprise, the frustration came from a real place of, oh, wait, what's going on here?
What if you have a hard time identifying what your character wants?
Well, listen, this is why I tell you to read plays and watch movies, because you have to learn storytelling. You have to learn how arcs go.
Do you ever struggle with that, Sean? Do you ever get a script and wonder, what is it that my character really wants?
At this point, again, with all my experience, no. But, I had a coach, and I'm going to do a whole episode about the importance of coaching to show me, to teach you how to look at a script. It's just like a photographer learning how to look at a spider web differently than you or I would look at a spider web. They're going to see colors. They're going to see nuance. They're going to see things differently. So with practice, with all of this, you want to learn, you will see it differently. You will look at human behavior. I've talked about study human behavior. Study it all the time. Walk and see. There's a mom who's trying to get out of the store, but her daughter keeps running away, trying to grab candy and crying. Well, you know what the mom wants. She wants to leave and not cause a commotion in the grocery store. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So watch human behavior. Everybody wants something. Everybody wants something. So you'll get it by looking. Is that clear enough?
Yeah.
Okay, good. And then you have to start understanding what you're actually doing in each line, right? So in our little scene, what were you doing? You were confronting me. Mm-hmm. What was I doing? Calmly explaining my point of view. So that's what we were doing under the lines. So try to look and see what you're doing. I'm begging. I'm confronting. I'm being amiable. I'm being shocked. Like, try to find out what you're actually doing in each line, too. So that's why you want to read the scene several times to find out what you're doing. Then, Roxy, start locking down the lines. Then, after all that stuff is done, because then the lines come easier if they are written well. Sometimes, guys, it's hard to act bad writing. The good news is, because we are in a beautiful time of storytelling, there's so much storytelling going on in TV, especially TV and movies, mainly TV right now in this section of time. It's really hard to find bad writing, So
maybe at your level.
Yeah, okay. But even if it just makes sense, how human beings would talk, you know what I mean?
What if it doesn't?
Then you have it's harder.
You do the best you can.
You do the best you can because you it's not you again. It's a bad date. It's not your fault.
Can
You're
I ask
just
a
doing
quick
the best.
question about that, Sean?
Yes, sir.
So you mentioned reading and studying plays, which we've talked about on the show before.
Yeah.
And I think it's a great idea so actors can start to understand storytelling. Would you recommend they read some of the essential screenwriting books as well? Because I feel like that would be a great insight to storytelling as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely not a bad idea to read a couple screenwriting. William Goldman, that's the most famous one, right? Do you know that book?
Yeah, I would say William Goldman, and then
Save the Cat.
McKee's as well, the storybook by McKee, and then Save the Cat, which Roxy mentioned. Those seem like the big three to me.
And what's the guy that does The Power of Myth?
Joseph Campbell,
Joseph
right?
Campbell, which literally Star Wars and everything comes from. You know what I mean? The hero's journey and what they want and things like that. Yeah, that's a great tip. That's a great tip, Mr. Fontavios. I appreciate that. And then, do me a favor, guys. I know in your beginning acting classes, they say throw away the punctuation mark because they're just teaching you how to get the emotions. But when you're doing an audition, look at the action lines, which are the lines that show what you're doing, and then the punctuations as well. Why do they have an exclamation point? There was one I went in for, and my guy was actually being defensive, but I heard a guy in there before me just get loud for no reason. And she goes, do you know why you're getting loud? And he goes, well, it said to get loud. Well, no, I'm getting loud because I'm angry. Because you accused me of something I didn't do.
Another one is periods versus question marks.
Yeah, periods, question marks.
You have to know if something's a question or not.
Underlines, italicized. Look at all those too and break those down and work on those lines, but don't lock them down into a way that it's rote. You don't want to make it so rote that you are inflexible. Just understand what's going on. And then read it out loud to yourself. I don't believe in necessarily doing it in front of a mirror. Just pick a point of focus and talk to that, or read it with a friend or someone who you care about.
What I do is I record myself reading the other part.
Yep, that's
and
a great way
I do
too.
it with myself if I can't get a friend to come over.
Yeah, and pick a focal point, and then rehearse how you're going to do it. Like if you're going to go in there and sit down, don't practice it standing up. And how you want to stand and how you want to physicalize your character. Then, when you're done all that, check yourself. And what do I mean by that? Try to understand why the casting director picked these scenes. Pull back, and then you're doing the final touches to tweak to make sure you're on the right track. So I had one that I do for my beginning students all the time. Very fun, light first scene. It's for us to get to like this young woman. It's a young woman scene. She's fun and friendly with her friends, and then she the second scene is a very heartfelt breakup scene where she's letting her boyfriend go because she knows she loves someone else. Even though they're engaged, she's like, I don't want to be married to someone who's just doing it out of obligation. Follow your heart. And it's a very selfless scene, and it's very tough. And why do they pick it? Because we want to like her in the first scene, so we feel for her in the second scene. So try to think business-wise. What are they looking for? Why are they doing this audition? Because they want to see this range, and you're in 20 scenes, but they only picked these 3. Why? Why do you think they picked those 3? Because if you can do those 3, they think you can handle the rest. So be smart about the business part of it. And then make choices that make sense to you, like you were saying, that make sense to you, what you think is funny. All you can do is do what you think is funny, and try to find some unique moments where you're going to do something that you don't think, you look at that and go, ugh, I know what everybody's going to do here. Try to do it a little different. Well, I'm just talking about comedy. If it's a comedy, yeah. If it's a comedy, do what you think is funny. If it's dramatic, do what moves you. Don't go out of the wheelhouse of the breakdown and the writing, but try to find some places where you're going to do something maybe a little unique or different than anyone else. You can see certain lines and go, oh, I know everyone's going to, pound their fist on this one. Well, I'm not going to do that.
Well, if you have a thing that says that your character is angry, anger looks very different on different people.
Exactly. So find your wheelhouse.
Is angry yelling or is angry?
Well, if it has a lot of exclamation points, then
maybe
you have to do it.
Or angry is lip quivering, or angry is a stare, or angry.
Or maybe you put in an extra beat, a second where before you talk, you say something.
Is a deep breath.
Deep breath, something that's you, that feels right for you. Honor yourself in this process. That's what they're looking for. They're looking for you, what you will bring to this part. So that's why you can't ever go into an audition thinking, what do they want? What do they want? No. What are you going to bring to them that they will either buy or not buy? And if they don't, do a good job and they might buy you another time. Then, very simply, physically prepare, be rested, take care of yourself, find out what your thing is. I think we talked about this before. Me, I have to be full of water. For some reason, I bring a huge water bottle, and I used to bring like 2 power bars. And I want my stomach needs to be full.
And I need to be somewhat hungry.
Yeah. So know yourself. Do that. Pick out clothes that reflect the character in a general way.
To what extent?
To what extent?
So if I am a waitress, do I wear an apron?
I don't think you need to do an apron. I think you could do that's commercial stuff. We'll talk about that, and sometimes that's a little more specific. This is a tough question because I think you have to have the hint of the character. But I have a good friend, Danny Roebuck, who, like, when I saw him in a thing as a wizard, he had the whole thing. He had glued long white hair and everything.
For the audition.
Yeah. He believes in that, like walking in looking exactly what they think it is. To me, I've never believed that necessarily because I know there's interpretation.
But if you're hipster, you should dress.
Yes, you should
like
have
a hipster.
something. Yeah, have definitely a flavor of the character, whatever that means to you. You can go full bore or not. That's up to you. Some people like that, some people don't. But as long as you have some idea of the character, do your hair and makeup as well. I have a great guy who I'm going to bring in for my coaching episode. He always changes his hair and clothes accordingly to the character. Really good.
Quick tip for the women, nothing more valuable than spending your money on a makeup class or a hair class so you know how to do your own. When I came out here, I had to do both those things because when you're going on as many auditions as you are at the beginning, you cannot get your hair and makeup done every time.
No.
You will go broke.
Yeah.
And you have to be able to do it well.
Good. That's a really good
So
tip. And something I obviously don't have to worry about.
You have to be able to do it yourself,
and
especially for the last minute ones.
Yeah, and then lastly, leave in plenty of time. I like to be there early, be relaxed, know what you're doing, and feel good that you did all this work.
What if you have something right before an audition, Sean?
Then you have to back it up, obviously, and say you have your thing at 11 and your audition's at 1, and you know that it's going to be 11 to 12:45, then you have to get up early and make sure you get all this stuff ready, packed in your car, so you feel 100% as comfortable as possible, knowing that you're going to eat a light snack because you want to be hungry if you're Roxy, or making sure I have my power bars, my big water for me. So just make sure you do it a little bit early. So
Roxy, just quickly, what kind of things were you thinking of that you might have before an audition, for example?
Well, I'm saying if you have another audition,
right?
Or if
I've done that before,
or if you're filming something else, or if you have an appointment you cannot get out of, or any. I'm not talking about like a walk in a park with a friend.
No.
But something that
you can't move.
That you cannot move.
Yeah. So, you have to, again, that's looking at the timing and sitting down when you first get it and go, how am I going to make this work in my schedule? So those are my tips on how to prepare. The funny thing was, guys, I was going to do this week on how to do an audition, and I thought there's so much more to when you actually go in the room. The next time we talk about auditioning, I'm going to do one about how to walk in that room and own the part and how to look at it and have the philosophy. But I felt this was really important.
Yeah, before you even step foot in
that. Yeah. So it was interesting. I started this whole other breakdown, and I thought, wait, we got to go back a little bit and make sure we have this.
I love that.
And I was like, oh, maybe you need an agent. No, this is for people who even are doing student films, anything. So
yeah, even if you're in school or whatever age, at whatever level.
All right, Disney Ghost. You want to hear it?
Yeah, I do.
All right, Wizards of Waverly Place had a Halloween episode, and there was a ghost called Mantooth.
So wait, for anybody who doesn't know Wizards of Waverly Place.
Wizards of Waverly Place was a Disney Channel show starring Selena Gomez, ran for several years, and it was supernatural. They were wizards, and so they dealt with supernatural stuff, and on Halloween they dealt with ghosts. They wanted ghosts for a Halloween party, and they had to go to this underworld type of thing to find a fun ghost. This guy's name was Mantooth, right? And he was just kind of weird. The description was, an oddball ghost. And it was one of those kind of things where they didn't give me a lot. So I had to find it's one of those auditions where they go, well, when they walk in, we'll just know it. Do you know what I mean? That kind of thing. So I had to come up with it. And listen, when I looked at it, I thought it was going to be like an old, scraggly, maybe 20 years older than me for sure, like in his 70s and scraggly and that kind of thing. So I kind of didn't think I had a shot at this. So what's great about that when you do it? Oh, there I am. What's great about that when you do it is it's like, why not play?
Yeah.
Why not play? And I went in with this kind of weird talking way of doing it. And that was I thought, oh, that's a great take. And I got down to the final 3, and then, gosh, they deliberated for because it was a huge episode, their Halloween episode. They deliberated. I mean, usually you hear the next day. I didn't hear it until 4 days later.
So did you figure you hadn't gotten it at that point?
Yeah, kind of. I kind of thought, all right, it's longer. But I went in there, and then I got the part. And then when they had me come in, they, had me in this really cool, really dirty, and then this kind of a steampunk look, And so it was way different, and I thought, wow, I had no idea what this character would be, man-tooth. It could be so many different things. But what was fun is I really prepared what I thought was my take on it. It made sense to me. It was fun to me. They had jokes. It's a comedy show, Wizards of Waverly Place. So I knew the jokes fit in the wheelhouse of my character. It all worked for me. And then I just went in and thought, okay, either that's going to work for them or not.
So speaking of preparation, Sean, if the show you're going out for already exists, is part of your preparation watching that?
Absolutely.
So you checked out some episodes.
Yeah. Well, I actually knew it. My daughters were fans.
Great.
My daughters were fans.
But
if they hadn't known and you had no idea, yes, you have to know the tone and the take of the show. You're like, wait, a ghost? It's silly. I don't get it. Well, then watch a couple episodes. Yeah, like I said at the beginning, when you research, you research their stuff to see what else they've done. I guess I wasn't specific about that, and I should have been.
Well, research the specific current project that
the
you're
current
going out
project,
for.
Absolutely. And I think I was gearing that question when I talked about it for people who were before they were going out for TV, for student films. But if you do have an agent already and you are going out to that level and you're going out for TV shows, absolutely look at the producers and the directors' shows that they've done, and or if it's on the air, absolutely look at the episodes of those shows.
Great.
So I knew it was fun. I knew it was silly. And I did all my stuff. And then I checked myself. I went through the script to make sure. Then I looked at the breakdown. I said, yeah, it's in the wheelhouse, because it could really have been anybody. It could have been a 6-foot guy. It could have been a huge fat guy. It could have been anything. It's a fun ghost. And that, you go to the Haunted Mansion at Disneyland or Disney World, and you'll see they had tons of fun ghosts. So it can be anything. So I went in there and just kind of made it my own, and they appreciated it. So it was really, really fun.
That's awesome.
It was a great time. So where can we find you, Roxy?
Everywhere at Roxy Striar.
Mr. Funtabulous.
You guys can find me anywhere online at Jeffrey C. Graham. And if you want to watch another show on AfterBuzz, in 1 hour, I will be reviewing the new John Taffer show, Marriage Rescue, on our TV pilot review show.
Whoa.
So check that out. It's a bar rescue spinoff, but instead of bars, they are people.
Wow.
So check it out.
Fantastic. That's very cool. And I am at ThatGuySMW on Instagram and Twitter. And you can find me on Facebook at Sean Whalen Peeps. As always, now I won't be here next week because I am going to be in Paris.
Wowee, baby.
Wowee.
Bonjour.
Bonjour.
Wow, how basic did I just sound?
Au revoir.
Au revoir.
Yeah.
Au revoir.
Yeah. So I, as always, thank you for letting me be part of your journey.
Our founder, Keven Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.